will probably have hella asthma attacks and
Listen,
die.
Look, boy.
Really be motherfucking
Look, boy, I got
left
the
for
straw.
dead.
I got the straw.
Put that fucking straw.
Bambi has moved on, and Scrappy is distraught. This is the most recent bombshell that has everyone buzzing on the internet. Fans believed that the former couple's situation couldn't get any messier, but now stunning new evidence suggests that Bambi may have found love again. The big twist, though, is that her new partner isn't just any old dude. According to sources, he will leave Scrappy in utter ruin. As rumors of covert meetings, mysterious social media posts, and late-night gatherings begin to spread, the tension is at an all-time high. The picture that fans are creating as they piece together the hints is absolutely dynamite. According to insiders, Scrappy, who had been attempting to come to terms with their breakup, didn't anticipate this and is finding it difficult to comprehend the betrayal. Could this be Bambi's ultimate act of retaliation? Or is there something more profound happening in the background? The internet is divided, accusations are flying, and emotions are running high. Who is this man of mystery? How was it discovered by Scrappy? And above all, how will he respond? We're going to reveal everything, including the heartache, the drama, and the unexpected turns that nobody anticipated, so stay tuned. The internet was ablaze with wild allegations, ideas, and conjecture. For weeks, rumors of Bambi's new romance had been circulating, but until now, no one had hard evidence. It began with just one picture. Initially a grainy photograph, fans went crazy when a crisper version appeared. Dressed to the nines, Bambi exits a sleek black SUV in front of a posh restaurant in Atlanta. However, the man next to her was the one who had people talking, not her attire. Tall, broad-shouldered, well-dressed, and exuding the self-assurance of someone who is aware that everyone is watching him. What about the way he gazed at Bambi? That was the true tale. In a matter of minutes, every detail was being dissected by blogs, gossip sites, and celebrity insiders. Who was he? Was there more to this narrative, or was this just a casual dinner? Many initially brushed it off as simply another unfounded rumor. After all, Bambi and Scrappy had only recently broken up, and although their relationship had been rocky, she had not been openly associated with anyone. But when more information became available, it became evident that this man was not like the others. This individual belonged to Scrappy's social circle, someone he knew well. It wasn't until his phone began to blow up that Scrappy realized what was going on. The identical screenshot of Bambi and her mystery lover was being sent to him by friends, fans, and even individuals he hadn't spoken to in months. He initially disregarded it. He was aware that the internet enjoyed fabricating drama out of nothing because he had read enough rumors about him and his ex. But his curiosity overcame him as the notifications continued to come in. His stomach fell when he saw the photo after clicking on one of the links. He was the one, the man in the photo. As Scrappy gazed at the TV, his hands balled into fists. His thoughts were racing, trying to piece together past events that all of a sudden made too much sense. Had he been unaware of this happening? Had Bambi moved on prior to their split? In search of some rational answer, he read through the comments. He discovered anarchy instead. Whoa, Bambi didn't spend any time getting over it. Damn, Scrappy must be in pain right now. Wait, isn't that one of Scrappy's homeboys? His heart stopped at that final remark. No manner was possible. He examined the man's face as he enlarged the picture. Then memories flooded back, as though someone had flipped a switch. This wasn't just any old guy. This individual had previously been in their presence. Someone who had visited them. Someone Scrappy used to trust. Fire of anger blazed through him. Bambi herself had to tell him this. He hit the call without hesitation. Once, the phone rang. Twice, 3 times, no response. His jaw tightened as he gritted his teeth. He had no intention of overlooking this. Bambi had another surprise in store if she believed she could simply move on in this manner, especially with him, without at least alerting him. He made another attempt to call, directly to voicemail. His blood was boiling. Although Scrappy wasn't the kind to discuss private matters, he didn't care at the moment. He was going to learn the truth in another way if Bambi didn't answer. Just then, a new notification appeared on his phone. Bro, you're not gonna like this. Call me ASAP. Was a text message from a close friend, and Scrappy didn't think twice. He instantly dialed the number. His friend replied, Yo. Do you notice the photos? Scrappy let out a sharp sigh. Indeed. Who is he? There was a silence. Scrappy's stomach turned as his friend said, It's who you think it is, in a quiet, wary tone. Even before the words were said, he knew the answer. Scrappy wiped a palm across his face and murmured, "No. You must be joking with me." His companion sighed, "Man, I wish I was." But pay attention, this isn't even brand new. This topic has been discussed for months. Scrappy's thoughts froze for a while. Months? Were he truly so blind? He gave a head shake. No. He wasn't ready to make snap judgments just yet. "Where are you at the moment?" Scrappy's voice was tight as he asked. "I'm out, but I have more to say if you try to pull up." Scrappy snatched up his keys without thinking twice. He whispered, "Bet. I'm en route." One notion crossed his head as he ran out of his residence. Bambi had some explaining to do if this was accurate. Scrappy gripped the steering wheel so fiercely that his knuckles turned white as he drove through the streets of Atlanta. His emotions were alternating between shock, fury, and incredulity, and his mind was racing. Why hadn't he anticipated this? For what duration had Bambi been deceiving him? What's worst, why him? Why did she have to go on with a member of his circle out of all the men in the world? It was a personal betrayal. His close friend was waiting in a small lounge, a familiar location when he pulled there. Scrappy saw him sitting at a corner table, looking uncomfortable, as soon as he entered. Scrappy didn't waste time. Leaning forward, he slid into the seat opposite him. His pal sighed and glanced around to make sure no one was listening. "All right, talk to me." Then he revealed the shocking information. "Bro, they were playing around before you two split up." Scrappy stopped. His breathing became labored, his jaw tightened, and he just gazed for a moment. "What?" His voice was low and menacing. Grimly, his pal nodded. "You know that wasn't my business, therefore I didn't want to say nothing before. But I knew you had to know the truth after looking at those photos, dude." Scrappy wiped his face with his palm. He felt as though someone had just taken the wind out of him since his chest was so constricted. "Are you certain about this? Good." After taking out his phone, his pal went through his messages. "Observe this." As he read the text on the phone, Scrappy's heart raced with every word. Messages from common acquaintances, some of whom date back months, discussing Bambi's cozying up to this guy at private gatherings, meeting up in unexpected places, and sinking about. He was ill. Scrappy shook his head and muttered, "I knew she was acting differently towards the end. However, I assumed she was simply, I don't know, weary of the arguments." He slammed the phone down on the table and interrupted himself, saying, "I didn't think she was all ready." His companion let out a breath. "Look, dude, you needed to hear all of this, even if I hate to be the one to tell you. The worst thing isn't even that." Scrappy's head jerked upward. "What do you mean?" His companion paused. "He has been boasting about it, bro." Scrappy's expression turned blank. "Repeat that." He spoke in a low, lethal voice. With caution, his pal added, "Dude been running his mouth. Tell people how Bambi played you, how he bagged her, and how she claimed she was never truly content with you." Giggling at it as if it were a joke. Scrappy felt a sluggish, raging anger creep up his back. His whole body tensed as he gritted his teeth. The idea of a guy lounging around, discussing taking his woman, no, his wife, as if it were a bribing point. As if Scrappy was a simple idiot who didn't anticipate it. That was not going to work. Muttering, "I must see him," Scrappy said. His companion paused. "Dude, are you certain that's a smart idea?" "I'm not asking for advice," Scrappy angrily said. "I must see him." After letting out a sigh, his friend looked at his phone. He is currently at a location. Downtown, he stared Scrappy in the eye, but there weren't many people around, so it wasn't just him. "Dude, don't do anything insane." Scrappy remained silent. He was already picking up his keys and getting to his feet. When I said, Scrappy had already left. The bustle of nightlife, cars, and music filled downtown Atlanta. The so-called new man was supposed to be in a lounge when Scrappy pulled up outside. He didn't think twice. He entered and looked around the room till he saw him. He was there, looking arrogant as hell, chuckling while seated at a table. Scrappy felt his blood boiling. He forced himself to maintain his composure and took a big breath. He wasn't going to cause a stir in public just yet. He approached, instantly changing the atmosphere in the room. People's conversations slowed, and they looked at him. For a moment, Scrappy noticed a flash of astonishment in the man's face as he looked up. Then again, he grinned. A poor decision. The man leaned back in his chair as if he was at ease and said, "Yo, Scrap. I didn't think you would be here." Immediately across from him, Scrappy pulled up a chair. You couldn't read his face, but his eyes, freezing. You understand why I'm here. The man shook his head and laughed. Come on, man. Really, are we doing this? Scrappy remained unblinking. You tell me. The whole room was tense, and the gravity of what was happening was palpable. Are you upset with Bambi? The man inquired in a light-hearted, almost humorous tone. It's not even like that, bro. Scrappy's jaw tightened. So, how does it feel? The man shook his head and let out a breath. Look, dude, I am not vacillating over any woman. You made your decision, she made hers. It is what it is. Scrappy nodded and exhaled slowly. Is that correct? The man gave a shrug. Indeed, I was going to inform you myself, but I suppose you learned about it some other way. Scrappy's jaw tightened as he studied him. This guy wasn't even remorseful, judged by his hotness and lack of regret. At that moment, Scrappy came to a realization. It was more than simply Bambi. Respect was at issue here. And now, Scrappy didn't feel valued in any way. There was silence in the room. Everyone was observing, anticipating the next move. Leaning forward, Scrappy lowered his voice to the man's ears exclusively. Do you find this amusing? The man grinned. I believe you're taking this too seriously. Scrappy's eyes grew gloomy. There was a pause of one beat. And then, suddenly, bam. People gasped as Scrappy's fist struck the table with such force that glasses rattled and drinks spilled. The man's smirk vanished as he winced. He wasn't touched by Scrappy yet. However, the message was unambiguous. With a dangerously low voice, Scrappy warned, You better watch yourself. Because this isn't over, I assure you. Scrappy got up and left after saying that. But he knew one thing for sure as he entered the night. This was only the start. In a state of mental turmoil, Scrappy bounded out of the lounge. His jaw was gripped so tightly that it hurt, and his heart was racing. He wanted to go back and resolve things immediately, but he had a gut feeling that wasn't the best course of action. Not quite yet. He required a strategy. His phone began to buzz as soon as he climbed inside his vehicle. Word had already spread, so he didn't even need to check. The streets spoke quickly, and by the time he reached the halfway point of the block, he received the text confirming his preconceived notions. Bambi was aware. She had heard it all. With a sharp sigh, Scrappy clutched the driving wheel. He was aware of what would happen next, and his phone rang exactly as it should have. Bambi falls. He thought for a second about ignoring it. Allowed her to perspire. She should have wondered if he was going to pull up and start a real fight. However, no, he was interested in her opinion. To respond, he swiped. What? What in hell are you doing? Shit? Bambi's voice was piercing and angry. Scrappy laughed without humor. What am I doing? Is that what you're asking me now? She yelled, I heard you just ran up on him at the lounge. What was meant to be demonstrated by that? Scrappy bit back the words he wanted to say and shook his head. Instead, he spoke in a calm tone. Managed. It demonstrates that I'm not the right person to play with. Bambi sneered. Scrap, mature. You're looking foolish out here. Oh, I'm looking foolish. Scrappy interrupted her. No, you are the one acting irrationally, running around with someone who has been disparaging you like you're just another prize. He's bragging, you know, saying that you've been creeping behind my back for months and that he bagged you. Quietness, and Scrappy recognized the truth in that quiet. She didn't dispute it. She was unable to. Yes, Scrappy whispered. That's what I believed. Bambi let out a deep breath. Look, Scrap. This was not how it was intended to happen. Scrappy's fist tightened. So, Bambi, when was it expected to occur? What time were you going to tell me? After the invitations to the wedding were sent? After I'd given you another ring? That is unfair. Just? Scrappy shook his head and chuckled. Do you want to discuss fairness? Let's then discuss how you took advantage of me. While you were out here skulking around with him, your smile gave me hope that we could have a chance. Bambi let out a sigh. I was unhappy. Shit. Something new was what I needed. Then you ought to have gone first, Scrappy retorted. Instead, you made me appear like a complete idiot out here. Bambi took a while to reply. Her voice became softer as she did so. I didn't intend to cause you harm. Scrappy tightened his hold on the wheel as he breathed through his nostrils. Well, congratulations. In any case, you did. They were silent for another moment. After that, Bambi uttered something that chilled Scrappy to the bone. Please don't make this worse. Scrappy's eyes narrowed. What is the intended meaning of that? I don't need you out here causing trouble because I know how you get. Scrap, he's not going to give up. He doesn't fear you, and it will become more than just words if you continue to push this. Scrappy laughed slowly and dangerously. Do you honestly believe that man frightens me? I believe I know you both, Bambi answered cautiously. And I believe that things are going to get really messy. Leaning his head back on the seat, Scrappy gazed up at his car's roof. Unclean. Already, it was disorganized. Then, as though destiny were confirming Bambi's suspicions, a new message appeared on his phone. Number Yuan. Hey, Scrap, we must speak. I have some information regarding Bambi's new man that you should know. Give me a call. Scrappy scowled as he gazed at the letter. The number was unfamiliar to him. However, there was a sense of seriousness about it. What's the matter? Bambi inquired. Scrappy remained silent. His instincts took over and he simply read the message again. There was a problem. Before Bambi could object, Scrappy said, I gotta go, and hung up. After a few moments of staring at his phone, he eventually dialed the number again. The phone rang right away. Scrap, who is it? The voice said, I know what's going on, but you don't know me like that. And you're completely mistaken if you believe that man is just a normal guy. Scrappy straightened his posture. What are you discussing? The man let out a sigh. Let's simply pretend that he has been playing games with people other than you. I'd also receive receipts. Scrappy's heart was racing. What sort of invoices? Screenshots, voice memos, videos, the voice stated. Things that will truly cause Bambi to wonder who she has been teasing. But Scrap, it's not just about her. This guy, he is dangerous. Scrappy felt a knot in his stomach. Risky? What do you mean? You're not the only person he crossed after all. And a few individuals. That is not something they take lightly. I have evidence. Come see me tonight. By themselves. Scrappy was hesitant. His entire body was warning him to exercise caution. However, he was unable to let this go at the same time. Scrap needed to know if there was more going on, if this man was more than simply a player. Where are we meeting? He was given an address by the voice on the other end. Only a few blocks separated them. The man said, be there in an hour. And Scrap, be mindful of your back. CLICK. For a time, Scrappy sat there, his thoughts racing. This was not the end of it. By no means. Scrap was going to find out if this man actually had evidence, if Bambi's new man was hiding anything even more nefarious. When did he do it? The situation would never be the same. With his leg bouncing nervously, Scrappy sat in his car outside the meeting place. Deals were made in the shadows at a dilapidated warehouse on the outskirts of town. Despite his instinct that this was dangerous, he persisted out of curiosity and rage. It vibrated on his phone. Number unknown. Are you present? After hesitating, Scrappy typed back, indeed. After a few seconds, a dark figure appeared from the alley next to the warehouse. Grasping the doorknob of his automobile door, Scrappy tensed. He had no intention of entering a setup. The man moved closer, still half in the dark. Although Scrappy could hardly see his face, he could tell that he was moving quickly. According to the guy, you Scrappy. Scrappy got out of his car, but stayed out of sight. Who's asking? The man said with a loud exhale. My name is Rico. I'm not your adversary, dude. I simply felt you ought to be aware of who you're actually up against. With folded arms, Scrappy said. Rico took out his phone and began scanning through his texts. Then start talking. This guy that Bambi is teasing isn't clean, bro. Scrappy narrowed his eyes. He has dirt on a lot of people. He doesn't just break hearts, he destroys lives. What do you mean by that? Rico asked, turning the television in his direction. A string of text messages appeared, each sent to a different woman by Bambi's new partner. Man, she isn't even aware that I have her enamored. Man, baby, all of this is part of the plan. She believes she is winning, yet she is going to lose. Man, being Scrappy isn't even my biggest issue. Yes, she is. Scrappy's heart froze. Rico shook his head, asking, what the hell is this? Dude, he's using Bambi. Scrappy tightened his fists and said, he has some sort of scheme going on, and she's just another pawn. He does this with women who have money, status, and connections. Once he gets what he needs, he moves on and leaves them to deal with the fallout. She doesn't even notice it either. Rico whispered, nah. In an attempt to comprehend what he was witnessing, Scrappy took a long breath. She thinks she's in control. But she ain't. He had been upset with Bambi for choosing a random guy over him and for moving on so quickly. Now, though, it wasn't even about him anymore. She was the focus. When Scrappy eventually asked, "Why are you telling me this?" Rico looked at him knowingly. Scrappy wiped his face and let out a sharp exhale. "Because I know how this plays out. And if you don't step in, it's going to be real bad for her." He might have stepped in and blown this whole thing up, or he could have walked away and let Bambi learn the hard way. In a matter of seconds, he made his choice. "I need proof," stated Scrappy. "It's something concrete, something she can't ignore, not just texts." Rico grinned. He tapped his phone and played a voice recording, saying, "Already ahead of you. Voice of a man. She believes we are solid. She is unaware that I have already planned my next move. I'm leaving as soon as I receive that bag." Scrappy tightened his jaw. All he needed was that. Bambi was sitting across from her new lover at a fancy lounge the following evening. She had no idea what was going to happen, but she was grinning. With a tempest building behind his eyes, Scrappy entered the room calm and collected. He yelled, "Bambi," drawing her attention. Startled and irritated, she looked up. Her new man smirked and leaned back in his chair, saying, "Scrap, what are you doing here?" Scrappy didn't even notice him when he said, "Man, you real pressed, huh?" Rather, he took out his phone, tapped the screen, and listened to the recording. Bambi's face altered when she heard her lover acknowledge that he was only exploiting her. She stopped smiling. Her entire body tensed. She turned to face the man next to her and said, "You serious?" His body shifted uneasily. "You know how people take things out of context," Bambi said, slapping her phone down on the table and live recording him. He paused before saying, "Say that again. Try to explain yourself." And she only wanted that assurance. "You played me," she said in a betraying whisper. As the realization struck her like a ton of bricks, Scrappy watched. When she moved on, he had been upset with her, but now, he felt sorry for her now. She was clueless about the situation she had found herself in. The new man glared at Scrappy as he got to his feet. Scrappy smirked and said, "You really bold for this, man. You think this over?" "No, I believe we're just getting started." There was a lot of tension in the room. Bambi looked at the guy she had trusted, her hands trembling. Her voice was a whisper, "Get away from me. Before doing anything, I regret it." After a moment of hesitation, the man realized he had already lost and retreated. Scrappy turned to go as he bounded out of the lounge. Bambi called out before he could, but her voice was gentler this time. "Scrap." He hesitated. They were silent for a moment. Then Bambi took a deep breath. "I'm grateful." Before leaving, Scrappy gave her one final glance. Perhaps their relationship had dissolved. They might not have been meant to be. One thing was certain, though, he would not allow anyone to play her. Not in that manner. What a crazy twist of fate. Bambi believed she had moved on when the truth suddenly hit her, and Scrappy was the one who revealed it all. The biggest issue still stands. What will happen next? Fans are in shock and emotions are running high. Is Bambi going to bounce back from this betrayal? Will Bambi and Scrappy be able to work things out? Or is this the start of yet another nasty chapter? Above all, who is this mysterious man and what else is he concealing? We would want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments if you believe Scrappy should have stayed out of it or if he did the right thing. If you enjoyed the drama, please hit the like button and remember to subscribe because, believe me, this narrative is far from over. There will soon be more twists, scandals, and startling discoveries. Keep an eye out.